Hi there and welcome to Bridging the Gap. Ian Hansen in with intuitive medium and spiritual advisor Brenda Burgett. On this edition of the program, we are going to bridge the gap between the missing piece, perhaps in your life. Maybe it's a large piece of someone that you know or even yourself, and what that connection is to the other side. So the bridge today, Brenda, is a little bit nebulous, and we're going to have to do some explanations about where you're standing as far as the side of the bridge that you're on and where you want to get to. Maybe it's completely clouded on the other side, but we'll do our best.
I think that's all we can do.
God search, actually, was what you had coined as far as what we were going to talk about today. And before we do that, I know we just invented something wonderful a few moments ago before we started here. You've heard of the clapper, right?
To do it.
Which turns the lights on and off in your house. Well, Brenda is working on something called the clacker. And the clacker would turn spirits off. Go away, I'm done with you now, Aunt Helga, you're gone. And then, come back, Aunt Helga, I need you. There you go. What do you think? How's it coming?
How's it coming? Well, since you just came up with it, it's...
Oh, wait a minute, this is your idea. I knew.
Oh, no, I knew he would blame me for that. No.
Think of the possibilities when you're at Graceland, you know, I mean...
Well, okay, then maybe I'll work on it.
Shuffy's behind the camera as always. Hello, Shuffy. I feel like Big Bird. Hi, Snuffy, but it's Shuffy in this case, actually. So, have either of you ever owned a clapper before?
No.
I haven't either, but I have seen one in use. I actually, I was a family friend who had one, and they worked. They really did. They did seriously on the box, though, at the time, at least. Maybe they perfected it in some way. It said, don't use it if you have a pacemaker or something. I guess it would potentially interfere with stuff like
Well,
that.
I was a clacker at one time. My ex-husband would say, ice cream, coffee, water, turn the TV before remotes. So, I don't want to be a clacker.
It's like one of those stories that your grandparents or your parents, if you're old enough, would tell you from the 1920s, 30s, 40s. Like, well, when I got out of high school, I worked as a clacker for one. You're going, what is a clacker? Don't even go there. I don't even want to hear the stories. So you look it up on Google.
You know, we knew this was coming, didn't we?
I warned you both. I warned you. And I needed this too, because again, the subject for today's edition, Brenda, is, as I coined it already, a bit nebulous. I mean, we're going to be sort of seeping through the mist here, I suppose, in a manner of speaking, and God search. It's something that we all do, but maybe it seems like some profess to be further along with this than others. We're really talking about, at the very end of it all, what we always talk about here in Bridging the Gap, which is remembering why you are here and doing the best you can to get there, not necessarily as fast as possible, but just eventually to get there so that you are in the right place. But let's start with that place, Brenda. Some people, a very good identity as far as this is concerned. No missing hole in their soul. I know it's an old saying, but we could use that. Some people, a huge void there that they perceive. Maybe they're fuller than they think. Where do we start?
Well, let's start with something that a pastor said to me one time. I love this man and his wife. They were wonderful people. He said, and I'm sure he stole it just like I do everything, inside every human is a God void.
A God void?
God void. There's
Okay.
a space that was created in us for a higher purpose, a higher thing, something more than what we can see with our physical eyes.
Okay. So this higher purpose then, Brenda, would be outside of any profession that you might be in. Maybe that is part of it.
Sure, of course.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be.
No.
Human beings, and again, especially in the Western world, and I think until you start to delve into what life is like, and especially go to places around the world, you don't realize how different we think than a lot of the rest of the world does. And Western civilization is crawling around the globe now, and countries are westernizing. That's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that, unfortunately, Brenda, the search for what we call success or our place here, the climb up the company ladder, the climb to get everything you ever wanted materially and more, those things can cloud the connection between you and, again, filling that void. So how do we avoid that?
We don't avoid it.
We don't?
We don't avoid it. It's clouded if we see it as a cloud. You can do anything you want, your profession, whatever. and you provide contrast. Okay, you work and work and work. I did this myself with real estate, 80-hour weeks, and no vacations. And it was a wonderful way to get what I wanted physically. But when I reached a certain point, it was like, this isn't enough. That just is not enough. I had, in my younger years, been involved in some church activities and worked at the time, and there were some beautiful people there and whatever. However, I knew that was not where my soul wanted to take me. And by admitting it and by saying it out loud, I'm ready for the next step. It was like, oh, the gates of something opened up. Malaga, I think.
Malaga, by the way, is a small town near where we filmed this. We are not referencing Malaga, Spain, but we love you there and in the one that's near us too. So,
Right.
Brenda, that is something I know, sharing my own experiences with the viewers, has worked for me in incredible ways. And it doesn't have to be out loud, but I have found that asking or saying, making those proclamations out loud tends to resonate better with whatever it is that's around you that will help move you in the directions that you truly need to go. And again, that's a word that we could use. Is there a need to go? I mean, if a true natural born orange juice producer in this lifetime, let's say, sorry, it's all I got. I'm wearing orange, so I'm thinking of it probably. Doesn't happen to find his calling this go around. Is it going to happen the next time or the next time? Or, I mean, how do we feel like we get stuck so there's that void? Because I can imagine a lot of folks out there are feeling like that because they have to pay the bills, keep the lights on. They
Exactly.
really want to be a painter. They really want to be a sculptor. And you know what? If you paint or sculpt, you are. Just because you're not making money at it doesn't necessarily mean that you are not those things. You are those things. You do them after all. So you are what you do. But Brenda, maybe there's a calling to do it all the time. So how do we find the happy place there?
Ask. Just ask. And the interesting thing about it is different, your personality, my personality, your
Shuffy's personality. And you at home.
Mine is the, what in the heck do you want me to do with all this? I've had it, I don't get it, and then all of a sudden, things start happening for me. Other people, it's quiet prayer, it's meditating, and that has worked for me as well. Although I like the big drama. What do you want me to do with this? And it's like, what
There's Scarlett O'Hara over
yeah,
here, right?
What they say is usually, no way am I going to do this. It's a search to remember who you came here to be, who you are, and that there is a source, a God, that this is not an accident that we're here. And it's that reconnecting with that source, that God spirit. And it's a process. It's one of Edgar Casey's friends, Bill, can't remember his last name, just read it.
Bill, yeah, good friend.
Was a very wealthy man, and he strived his entire life to become wealthy. And he was a genuine spiritual traveler all the time he was doing this. He did not just go sit on a mountaintop. I'm opting for a mountaintop. I'm ready for my mountaintop.
But you want a Rolls Royce parked under it too.
I want the Rolls to drive me up and the chauffeur to open the
Oh, she
door
wants a
and
chauffeur,
say,
not
Brenda, darling, we'll be back. Pick you up.
And apparently one of the Gabor sisters that wasn't ever discovered is driving this thing too.
Yes.
So this jalopy.
That's good.
Brenda, darling, your mountaintop is ready.
Darling,
So,
darling.
yes. It can go both ways. And I think that we have a tendency to pigeonhole that, Brenda, and that's a good point that you referenced there, because the desire for physical things, the desire for wealth or money or, power, let's face it, the desire for those things can walk hand in hand with spiritual fulfillment. But so many people, I think, Brenda, feel like, now you can get away from it very easily with all those toys, so you got to be careful on that note. But so many people, Brenda, feel like true enlightenment may come from loincloth, mountaintop, eyes closed, no possessions, yo-yo in your pocket. You hid that when you got up to the mountaintop,
Yes,
and it was the
have
one less thing.
something to-
Maybe silly putty. Maybe silly putty would be better,
And
but no
if-
one remembers that.
And
So
if that's the way they feel, then that's their way.
that works for them.
Exactly.
And we can illustrate this in history with people who have, and we use this one a lot, I know, on our radio program, or have so far, so we can use it again here on TV. Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, who wasn't a rich man, but did his changing, did his work, if you will, what he was here to do, remembered what he was here to do, and did the great thing that he did, and helped to awaken so many other people in a suit and tie all the time.
Exactly.
Gandhi got rid of the suit and tie after he rode the train and realized how things were and decided, you know what, this is going to be much better if I put on nothing at all. Well, I'd have to wear something because after all I'm an extremely attractive man.
Well, yes.
So on goes the robe and he walks in the sandals out on the salts of India and he makes the change happen for him and then for everybody else that walks with him in their own way through that means. So it's the same idea that's at work,
Exactly.
it's just dressed differently. And it doesn't matter whether it costs 10 grand on the corner of Saks and Fifth or whether it costs nothing and you pulled it out of the trash. Same thing can work.
Exactly. We are here to do what our spirit tells us to do. And right now I'm telling it, okay, let's see some money here if you want me to continue this. We're gonna have to make some mortgage payments and everything. Interesting thing about that is if you dwell on the money part and you're constantly searching for it, it will not be there. Anything you're frantically searching for will be totally elude anything or elude you. It won't be there.
Yeah, you put it to me, I think, in a wonderful way. Not that that wasn't, but before we started, you said when you're searching for something with a vengeance, it's very elusive. And that is true. If you're just desperate, and I think that's where you get, is you're just desperate to have this or to attain whatever this thing is. And it might not be the mortgage payment, it may be something else entirely. It may be
whatever.
gum. I mean, maybe it's
Yeah.
you know, some position that you want within the company. It could be anything. But if you're really struggling or really just clawing and scratching, perseverance is something different, I think.
It's totally different. It's
So what is the difference then?
the
Help us out.
difference is breathing and walking through and walking a path that feels good to you. And you're not pushing upstream. You're actually going with the flow. That's what this is all about. It's like, and I have done both. One of my best friends, you know, the Hicks talk about the Hicks again.
That would be Esther and Jerry Hicks, not the Hicks that we have here around where we live, actually. And there's a lot of those too.
Jerry has croaked, as Esther likes to say.
Okay.
But getting into the water and frantically going upstream, but you know, you're just using your oars to get upstream. And if you just turn loose and go around, use your oars to direct you from hitting a rock or something. But go downstream, that's where everything is that you need. And my friend will call and say, "Where are your oars today?"
Yes.
And I give her some most interesting answers sometimes.
I can
Sometimes
imagine so.
they have to be surgically removed from another person's anatomy. Other times, I'm just doing real well with this. But if it's, I was told this a long time ago, and I don't think I stole this from anybody. I think it was given to me. If you're working really hard at something, then you're probably not doing it right. And I say there's no right, there's no wrong. You're not doing it in a way that's easy for you.
Okay.
It is easy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that you don't have trials and there won't be things that are tough, but it's the way you see them. You can tell me that again tomorrow when we meet for coffee. It's the way you
She'll
look at
need to hear
things.
it, trust me. I'll need to hear it probably. So.
It's the way you look at things, and if you realize that there is a grand plan, you came up with it along with our creators, our source, then get in the river, get in the water, and float down when you can. And when you can't, stick the ore where it needs to be and then get on with it after it's been surgically removed.
Even if that happens to be in an anatomical portion of someone else's body. Again, don't assault people, friends. You'll go to jail for it for at least a few hours. And don't, the magistrates these days, have you seen the hair? They don't even keep themselves up. It's not something you want to stare at in court for a couple of hours. And I don't even want to talk about the appointed attorney you'll get too. So, got to be the roving reporter that's on the scene when that happens too, I can't imagine. And a horribly unforeseen accident that happened this morning on the campus of Oxford. And it was, well, and you can fill in the rest. So.
And they had surgically removed it from a very dark spot.
But the championship was won nonetheless,
Yes.
as they stuck it in the water and used it anyway. So.
It's, if you keep your mood light and sense of humor, and just stop and ask and breathe. Everything you came here to be, you'll remember.
All right, Brenda, lots of things popping to mind here, and I think we've got to deal with two biggies, I suppose, that at least come to me as far as this subject is concerned. You talk about going with the flow, and that's such an old saying, and it's really such a great saying because, again, that river is just on the move constantly, and you'll notice that, think about it as being in tune with nature, and I'm thinking about when plants, trees, things that are hanging over that river, that's either quietly trickling along or maybe it's a raging torrent, it doesn't really matter. But when they're ready to go to seed, they fall and float down in the river and they go with the flow. They have no other choice because they don't have arms and legs and sentient brains that can move them upstream. Why not do that yourself? Not saying that you have to go to seed, but that's basically the same thing that we're talking about here. It has no choice, and therefore its destiny, if you will, its purpose here is fulfilled. Every single springtime, it reseeds somewhere downriver into a new plant, and things go on. And it is an absolute part of that. Now, humans have a cool spot because we get to do that. And we get to make all these other choices because we turn around and we dog paddle upstream and go, oh, I hate today, and then the next day we turn around and maybe we get the water wings out, or we have the big thing that looks like a dragon and get in it, and oh yeah, this is nice, and we float. Really cool way to look at it, I think. Exactly. Whoever said it first, and I kind of put some different spins on it.
No, that's very well put.
Yeah.
It's the cat with the hanging in there, that poor little bedraggled cat. If you're hanging on this, whatever it is you're hanging on, your hands are tied up.
It was a toilet seat, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think so.
Oh, it's disgusting.
It's not the worst thing can happen. This could be a clean bowl, you know. So.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, why hang in there? If somebody says to me, I'm hanging in there, it's like, I'm going to turn and walk the other way. If you're hanging in there, I don't want to be in your space. Because I don't want to get dropped on me when you decide to turn loose and you're hanging in there. You know,
well, that would mean you're in the bowl.
That's
an even worse place to be, I think. So, unless you're the tidy bowl man. He's cool.
Yeah.
He was like the Jolly Green Giant's nephew or something. He looked just like him, yet he was in the bowl.
I didn't really look at him.
Can we talk to him on a future episode? You've promised to channel some of my favorite commercial icons in history. So Quisp is on the list for sure. We're definitely going to hit the Monster Cereal guys, and then maybe some other things like that too.
You know, I do some channeling, and it is exciting.
It is.
It's most interesting. And the ones that are the most exciting to me, that I'd be whipping along and all of a sudden they're there. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Well, again, going with the flow, and the word that came to mind, Brenda, when we talked about, again, I got off on the tangent about the leaf, and, really, but I think that might be a neat way to look at it, and it could help you as far as figuring out that you do have a place here. It's just that the nice thing for you is that you have the ability to scurry around and make those decisions for yourself, and not just fall in the river, but look at how wonderfully easy and graceful it is for the leaf that does fall in the river. The word that comes to mind is trust, because you have to have trust in order to make that happen.
And that can be a process. You have children. I had two boys and a girl, all very, very different. I had one that started crying and didn't quit for months. And everything he did was hard. It was not an easy time for him. He had stomach problems. And then the next one that came through, he was just as laid back as he could be. And the third one, I think they put her on the front steps and she went out for adoption. Last I saw her, she was somewhere in Malaga.
We always have to get our Malaga. Was that this episode or the last one, Shuffy, that we had the Malaga reference?
Last one.
Last one? Okay, so there it is
There it
again.
is.
Hello to our friends in Malaga, Spain, and Malaga is close down the road from where you're seeing this filmed today.
So you say, well, that was this child. He was born with a stomach ache and things were never really easy for him. There will be a time when he is presented with the opportunity to step outside of that or not. And there's no right, and there's no wrong. And he may go to his deathbed with a stomach ache and things always wrong. That would be his choice or her choice. But we are all given the opportunity to know ourselves and know the source, different names, if we really want it. And that can start by simply asking, what am I doing here? You know, what is it? This is not working for me. What's the next step? And then don't get led down the garden path by people who are going to tell you all kinds of things to do. Listen first yourself, and then your teachers will come.
That's what we're talking about today with intuitive medium spiritual advisor Brenda Burgett. I'm Ian Hansen. We are taking those steps across the bridge and over the gap of the void that may be in your soul. And again, Brenda, there could be a large perception that there is a void in one's soul. Some viewers out there saying, oh, it's a gap you don't even want to begin to try and span. I'm not sure where to start. People in some very dark places. Others who feel like, yeah, I've got 2-3 bridges actually, and they just got full cleaning and painting and all that. I think we all have a little bit of a void that we could continue to fill up, Brenda. There's no question about that. I also think that even that person who's in a dark place, who feels like there isn't any hope or their road is lost, you do have a lot in your perceivable void already. The source is always with you. It's always with all of us. It's just a matter of listening and how much you're going to allow yourself to let in.
And the desire to want it.
Yeah. And that you deserve it. The thought that you deserve it as well. Because I think some people are lost there too. I run into them all the time to say, well, I shouldn't have that. I don't deserve that. And you do. You deserve all of the wonderful gifts that you've already been given by just being here, and then an abundance from there. And you can find those things. And again, asking would be the first thing. Brings us to the next big word. We talked about trust and the leaf. Now we'll go Steve Martin on you. The Man with Two Brains. Have you seen it?
Yes, I think I have.
Okay.
He had the brain in the container.
It's brain in the jar. Yes, very good. Shuffy, have you seen that? He's seen that too, of course. It's a great movie. You should go see it. I saw it in the theater with my mother years ago. I used to see so many movies with her in the 80s when I was growing up. Well, she was growing up too. We were growing up together in a way, I suppose.
Nice.
But I'm thinking of the scene in that movie, Brenda, where he is dead set on being with and marrying Kathleen Turner's character, and he has that wife who has passed away, and has got an altar to her in the house, a big portrait, and he goes into the portrait and says, I really want to be with her, but if it's not meant to be, if there's something wrong, just give me a sign, any kind of sign. And suddenly, no, 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 and the picture starts spinning and his hair goes on end and he looks so zany with that. And it all dies down and the wind subsides and the picture's askew and things in the room have fallen down, and he goes, any kind of sign, I'll be waiting. Because he is dead set on making sure that he's with Kathleen Turner.
Exactly.
It's his choice, again,
Yeah.
see? So he wasn't listening.
No.
And that's the other word that comes to mind. If you're going to ask, Brenda, you have to be prepared to listen.
And they will give you more than one shot at this. So don't think you have one shot at this, because it's not true. I always say, you want me to do what? How?
Start a radio show was one of them.
Big one. And it was like, you've got to be kidding. You want me to write a book? Well, let's see, I'm dyslexic, and what else is wrong
You
here?
should see the graffiti she tries when she's in the city.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
It's not good, not good. My text messages are a source of entertainment for everybody.
By the way, if you spell Crips dyslexic, it can actually be pretty good graffiti. So you just have to add a K. You can scramble the letters at home. Chuck Woolery, hello.
So I even forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about listening.
Listening.
Ah, see, I got her. See how easily we can
I'm
stray?
still imagining this brain and this Steve Martin thing.
Let's stay there for a moment, shall we?
Turner.
Let's reminisce on a few other lines, shall we? Funny, there was a man on the lake today, looked just like you, kissing a brain in a jar. Oh, there must be dozens of people. You want any more?
No, it's probably enough. When you say We were going to try to get to a question, but you know, if you want.
We will get to a question right now. Are we finished though with the void? I mean, this is a big subject, and again, I'm here for the purposes of jumping around and acting like a
Right.
crazy jester in boots,
We
because
just want you to think. We just want them to think.
and
You know.
and know that there is, no matter how disconnected that you may feel, you are connected.
When you're at your most desperate or disconnected, that's when you're ready to listen.
Yeah.
When you're in a dark spot, I think that's what people are saying now. Then you're looking for some light.
Well, and again, we can go right back to how everything has been created for us to look at. We have learned so much from just how we go around the sun and how our planets are lined up, and just we've learned so much from those things already. The forces that are at work in nature, in our universe already, that are there for us to see every day, and the saying, darkest before the dawn, it's true every single day of every single year of every single anything that you want to quantify it as here on planet Earth. It is always dark before it's dawn again. So keep that in mind and know that there's the connection. It's right over the hump. And
Very
that
good.
one can't exist without the other, because that
Exactly.
planet has to keep turning. So time for a question. And Brenda, you ready for the question, first of all?
I'm ready.
Are you paying attention? Are you with
I'm
us?
trying to get that brain in a jar out of my head.
It's Anne Milmahay in that jar. So
Okay. Okay.
I got you some lips. Is that crazy? Oh no! So we're gonna have a man with two brains party, I think, after this is all over.
Yeah,
So.
no more coffee for this, right? No more coffee.
They're gonna be a sponsor. We know a few sponsors already, things that I'm
Absolutely.
addicted to that have to be sponsors. So,
Right.
all right, as I pick up the pen, that means it's time for business, and a question coming through from Brenda Burgett right now, and it comes to us from Johnny Five, apparently a big Short Circuit fan somewhere out in the world, and he says he's in the land of the helping hands, whatever in the heck that means, and he wants to know, Brenda, when are things going to change for him professionally? And that's pretty much what he left it at.
Things will change professionally for him. I can tell you in August it'll start. You're already starting to think. Things are lined up. Helping hands. Put your hands in your pocket. Quit trying to help everybody else. Take care of you right now. There's a big thing coming in August. A change.
That's
That's all. I
Okay.
can't make any more happen here.
A change coming in August.
A big change. There'll be
A big
things
change.
leading up to it, and when in August, probably the latter part of August, then things will start falling into place. This person needs to quit being so helpful, because by helping so many people, they're distracting themselves from what they really, who they are, and what they should be doing. You help people by being who you are.
Okay, fair enough. Anything else coming through for Johnny Five? By the way, I loved Short Circuits 1 and 2. Did they make it 3, Shuffy? Did they really? Wow, okay. It's hard to be a robot and ask Brenda a question. We imagine this is not a robot, at least I hope not. So.
Yeah. No.
Okay, well, best of luck to you. And again, late August, but that doesn't mean that you get to sit on the couch every
No.
day and eat bonbons. You have to continue being you and putting these things in place. It will work out, though, it sounds like.
It'll work out just fine. This person needs to be open and do what they have to do, and just keep watching. You'll know what to do and how to do it when it happens.
All right. And the land of the helping hands, we can only imagine what in the world that means. But thank you, Johnny Five, for the question. Say hello to 4, 3, 2, and 1 for, oh, he's gone now. We only have 2, 3, and 4 left. So get your questions to Brenda Burgett. We won't rifle you too bad for them. Again, these are fun, actually, and it's what Brenda is here to do, at least in part. And what I'm here to do, too, help facilitate those questions, get them to her through several websites. You can go to bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com, bridgingthegaptv.com, and be sure and view us on YouTube. We have a channel there as well. It's Bridging the Gap on TV on YouTube. Thank you, the guy in Ghana, for making sure that we had to have that one instead of Bridging the Gap TV. And enjoy his show, too, whatever it's about. I don't know. Looks like something politically connected to rattlesnakes and sloths in the Bolivian jungle. Actually, it's Ghana, so anyway.
Okay.
Brenda, anything else to add as we close the chapter
yes,
here?
There is something else with this that came
Oh.
through when you were talking.
Okay.
And that person has to turn loose of a fear. It's almost like they're swinging and they won't turn loose of the vine behind them until they have something firmly in place. Get on the ground and start walking, or fly through it. Don't allow anything to limit you. Don't be so responsible that you don't get what is yours.
Oh, okay.
Taking
Fair
care
enough.
of everybody else. I see that person as being, well, I have these obligations and they will always have, but things will work out and be just fine.
All right. Very good. So quit swinging from vines. No more Tarzan boy for you. Mitchell McShane, by the way, who wrote that Baltimore. He passed away suddenly. It was kind of tragic in the 80s. But thanks, Brenda Burgett.
You're welcome.
And I guess I'll have to thank myself since she's not going to. Ian Hansen along with Brenda Burgett. This has been Bridging the Gap. Again, enjoy your existence until the next time, folks. And please check us out whenever you get the opportunity to online. Get those questions into Brenda. And I think I've already said this, but we'll say it again. Enjoy your existence. We'll talk again soon.